to another live. Chillin with CuZo. Man, I could not get back home for some reason. I was hella tired. But have y'all niggas seen Jimmy Butler? Have you niggas seen Jimmy Butler? What the fuck is going on? Because last time, nigga wanted to pull up in dreads and shit. Okay. Now he came up looking like that damn punk rock star emoji. Cause this shit don't make no sense. Look at this shit, stupid nigga.
Yeah, correct. What's this? Yeah, this is my emotional state. I'm one with my emotions. So this is what you get. Yeah. Yeah, laughing up. Correct.
What is this foolishness, man? This man, oh my god. Oh my god. And he talk about something, this is his emotional state. We finna send your ass to, to a therapist. Alright? You feel what I'm saying? Or you just trolling? You feel me? Or you been watching anime? That's something too. Anime is possible too, man. I ain't finna just say this man is going through something. But he said it himself. He going through emotional state. His emotional state. I'm confused. I mean, Dennis Rodman is not a reach. He could possibly be feeling his alter ego. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, bro. It don't make no sense for him to do that. I tell you what, if they doing photos today, he better not take no photo like that. I could not take the dreads last year. Oh. Jaden Smith. The most misunderstood child star in Hollywood. That's a fact. That's not an understatement. That's a fact. Because sometimes I don't understand him. So let's go ahead and watch this.
What you are about to see is a 20-second clip that made Jaden Smith the laughingstock of the internet.
Because I was picking up more things from adults than I were from kids my own age. And I look and I go around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age and they're just kind of just selfie. I'm just like, dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now? Can we talk about what's going on with the environment? Can we talk about...
However, people choose to ignore the very important context stated right before that cringy clip.
Put me like, they would be having a meeting about their next film or something, and they would put me at the head of the table and just make me sit there while they're talk and debate with all these people, talk numbers, talk crazy stuff.
Jaden says he spent more time with adults than children during his youth. He would spend his free time in very important business meetings with his mother and father, Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, discussing serious business matters that he barely understood at the time. Jaden's parents never told him no. They allowed him to do anything and everything his heart desired, hoping that it would deepen and strengthen their relationship. They designed a meticulous, calculated plan for Jaden to be born and raised a superstar, and it ended in disaster. By age 15, he wanted to be emancipated from them, got blacklisted from Hollywood, and is hated by everyone on the internet. Most people's first introduction to Jaden was in 2006 during his film debut in the biographical drama The Pursuit of Happiness. Most young actors start with minor roles to help build their resumes. Jaden's father thought it would be best for his 7-year-old son to join a $55 million budget feature film alongside his dad, but the film producers did not want Jaden as the co-star. The film is inspired by the true story of Chris Gardner, a San Francisco salesman struggling to build a future for himself and his 5-year-old son Christopher. When his girlfriend walks out, Chris is left to raise Christopher on his own. In a movie that centers on a father's relationship with his son, it makes sense to cast an actual father-son duo, and many would argue the decision paid off with the heartfelt film. However, casting Jaden was not a straightforward decision. In fact, he still had to audition, just like other young actors in contention for the part. In his memoir titled Will Smith explained that director Gabrielle Muccino was having trouble casting the role of Christopher Jr., having auditioned close to 500 child actors. Around that time, Jaden began expressing interest in acting, so Will and Jada consented to their son auditioning for the role. Although Muccino wanted Jaden to portray Christopher Jr., there was some pushback. Will wrote that the Pursuit of Happiness director told him, "I wanted Jaden for this role from the first moment I met him, but the studio forbade me from asking you." The studio felt like it was a death sentence for the film from a marketing standpoint. They felt like people wouldn't be able to suspend disbelief seeing Jaden and Yu on camera as father and son. The studio also feared their decision would appear as favoritism and preferential treatment, with people crying out nepotism. Finally, Jaden was allowed a screen test alongside Will, which led to Jaden auditioning a total of 9 times, which is very uncommon. The studio simply didn't want the problems that came along with casting.
Why is it a problem when we do it? You feel me? People you on the screen, nepotism. So what, nigga? Give my family some bread. It is what it is.
Him. But audition after audition, in all of his innocent 6-year-old glory, he proved himself the right actor for the role. Many people question if Jaden actually proved himself, or if his father was so steadfast on him securing the role that eventually the studio just gave in. But it really didn't matter, because the film was a hit. Their natural father-son dynamic helped the film gross over $300 million at the worldwide box office, with both Will and Jaden receiving several award nominations.
Yeah.
Jaden says his parents never pressured or expected him to follow in their footsteps. However, he did grow up with a camera in his face. Now, a lot of parents made home videos with their kids, but maybe Will put a little extra focus on it.
My dad would just film me and my sister,
Oh.
and we would make Trade Tricks, Matrix spinoff.
It's not uncommon for celebrities' children to follow the same career path, and he landed another substantial role in the sci-fi film The Day the Earth Stood Still, before securing a surprise guest appearance on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Now imagine every random idea you had as a child. If you were
That Sweet Life performance was great. He did his thing in that.
Will Smith's son, he would pour thousands of dollars into whatever your heart desired at that moment. At 10 years old, Jaden wanted to start a water company. Just Water. My man. When I was a kid, I kept seeing discarded water bottles on the ground everywhere, and the amount of waste blew me away. I told my parents that I was passionate about reducing our carbon footprint. For the next 7 years, they developed a planet-friendly water bottle that uses 82% renewable material. Just Water wouldn't be available to the public until 2015. As of 2019, the company has sold its water in stores over 10 countries and over 15,000 retail stores in North America. And they still haven't given me a sponsorship, which makes me extra grateful for today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Get in on the NFL action with their Pick'em game. Season 3+. I got $CX at and scan the NFL season. Make sure you use my privilege. Undoubtedly gave him a sense of superiority. He seemingly forgot that his parents' money funded his business ventures, meaning he didn't need an education. He seemingly forgot that his parents' money funded his business ventures, meaning he didn't need an education like others. He once famously tweeted, "If everybody in the world dropped out of school, we would have a much more intelligent society." Jaden was homeschooled by his parents in the beginning because his father wanted his kids by his side when he was filming movies. "My kids being with me is of a higher value than sitting in a classroom." Then in 2009, Will and Jada opened New Village Leadership Academy, a private elementary school in Calabasas, California. Jaden and his sister Willow enrolled at the academy once it was up and operating. According to ABC News, classes consisted of yoga, karate, robotics, technology, math, literacy, Spanish, art, and living skills. As Jaden grew older, he used social media to express his views regarding traditional education.
We're preparing everybody to go to prison through the schools.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, the people that are not doing good in the grades, oh, you're doing like this, oh, you went to the detention, da-da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many correlations between public schools and prisons.
Jaden has been crowned the king of "I'm 14 and this is deep." Pretty much everyone that has experienced the American education system knows it's not setting us up to be successful multimillionaires. And maybe, in theory, the New Village Leadership Academy style of learning could be much better for the youth. The problem is that the school costs $22,000 per year to attend and was closed due to parents learning their child's curriculum was steeped in Scientology. So when Jaden says things like, "School is the tool to brainwash the youth," and "Education is rebellion," it kind of just comes off as a rich boy who had all the resources to be successful and thinks anyone could do it as long as they...
That Scientology shit is everywhere. What do people know? But to be enrolled into a school that's like behind that shit.
Put their mind to it and work hard. However, in 2010, Jaden would hit his career peak when he starred in the remake of The Karate Kid,
Fire movie. I don't care what nobody says. Fire movie.
a role that catapulted him to global superstardom. As you can imagine, this was Will Smith's idea. Jaden said, "My dad had the idea, and everybody knows in our house that my dad's a little crazy." Okay, he's very crazy. But you know, when he said this, we were like, "Are you sure?" And then we were like, "All right, we're going to listen to you because you're the guy." Little did Jaden know that just blindly listening to his father would eventually lead to disaster. Jaden took the spotlight while his parents took on producer roles, overseeing the film under their production company, Overbrook Spotlight, and then we were like, "All right, we're going to listen to you because you're the guy." Little did Jaden know that just
It's Willow look. I mean, not Willow. Sorry. Jada look dark as hell here. Cause sometimes she be looking real light. But here she look okay.
blindly listening to his father would eventually lead to disaster. Jaden took the spotlight while his parents took on producer roles, overseeing the film under their production company, Overbrook Entertainment. This film would change a lot of the most iconic parts of the original. Ralph Macchio's 1984 Karate Kid depicts a boy from New Jersey who moves to a California town. For Jaden's Dre Parker in the remake, he's not just the new kid in town. He experiences an unimaginable culture shock when his mother's job forces them to move from Detroit to China. The main character in both adaptations develops animosity towards the class bully and must learn how to defeat him. However, the famous wax-on, wax-off scenes are replaced with a new learning system centered around putting a jacket on and taking it off, hanging it up, and taking it down. Karate, which originated in Okinawa, Japan, is replaced with Chinese Kung Fu. Jerry Weintraub, the original series producer, insisted on using the well-known title even though the film contains no karate. He briefly contemplated changing the title to The Kung Fu Kid before deciding otherwise. Jackie Chan portrays Parker's instructor, Mr. Han, a maintenance man, and secret Kung Fu master who trains Parker to face the bullies at an upcoming Kung Fu tournament. Having Jackie Chan as the main character meant this film was destined for success. Chan is so widely respected in China that
Golden. One of my favorites.
they got production benefits that nobody else could. The Chinese government reportedly agreed to let filming take place at the Great Wall of China, the Forbidden City, and the Wudang Mountains. Then Jaden was given the opportunity to collaborate with the biggest pop star in the world, Justin Bieber, for the Karate Kid theme song, adding to the seemingly never-ending list of advantages Jaden had. Never Say Never featured a rap verse from Jaden. This was the first song he ever recorded. The single reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Today, Never Say Never has been certified 5 times platinum and accumulated over 1 billion views on YouTube. The Karate Kid, released in summer of 2010, received positive reviews from critics and grossed over $359 million globally. Nonetheless, the film's success reinforced Jaden's position as a rising star in Hollywood. He was paid a reported salary of $1 million as an upfront fee, but received an additional $2 million bonus after the film was released. Will Smith carefully shaped his son's career up until this point. He was now 12, a global superstar, and basically had a perfect resume. But all of that was about to come crashing down. In 2013, Jaden appeared alongside his father Will in the post-apocalyptic action film After Earth.
So ass. So ass of a film. I'm not gonna lie, this might be one of Will Smith's worst. And it's not even about the fact that Jaden was taking over majority of the movie. I just think it's really the fact of it wasn't good. It just wasn't good.
This was intended to be the first installment of a new franchise. Will intended to launch a multimedia franchise titled 1000 AE. The original plan was that After Earth would be followed by a sequel, then a live-action television series, an animated television series, webisodes, a video game, consumer products, theme park attractions, documentaries, comics, an educational program collaboration in partnership with NASA, cologne and perfume lines, and a social media platform, with Jaden being the face of it all. Will created a plan to essentially turn Jaden into Mickey Mouse, a ubiquitous character that can be milked for billions of dollars through licensing. Once Jaden realized he was just a pawn for his father's billion-dollar business, he tried to exit his own family. After Earth is a film set in a distant future where Earth has become uninhabitable due to environmental catastrophe, and humans have resettled on a new planet called Nova Prime. After Earth centers on General Cypher Rage, played by Will Smith, and his son Katai, played by Jaden Smith. Cypher is a legendary military commander known for his ability to ghost, which means he can suppress his fear and become invisible to the alien creatures called Ursa that now threaten humanity. On the other hand, Katai struggles to live up to his father's expectations and lacks the emotional control necessary to ghost. Cypher is critically injured when their spaceship crash lands on Earth, and Katai must embark on a perilous journey to retrieve a rescue beacon that can signal for help. The film primarily focuses on Katai's survival and personal growth as he faces numerous dangers and overcomes his fears. After Earth, through a generic and uncompelling plot, came off as a passion project that potentially reflected Will and Jaden's real-life relationship. The reflection being that Jaden wasn't nearly as talented as his father and needed to desperately work on his craft to be mentioned in the same breath. Perhaps the most ironic part about this film is that it's too realistic. Cypher holds his son's hand while guiding him to success, instead of allowing Katai to find his own path, which is exactly what happened in real life between Will and Jaden. Cypher's demanding expectations and Katai's desire to prove himself create tension within their relationship that evolves as the story progresses. This same tension is reflected in Will and Jaden's relationship months after the film's release. Critics felt that Jaden was handed the opportunity due to his family's connections rather than his acting abilities, which was completely true. Another concern surrounding the film was elements of Scientology, a controversial religion to which the Smith family has been loosely associated with. Despite the star power of Will Smith, After Earth underperformed at the box office. It did not meet the financial expectations set by the studio, leading to financial losses and disappointment for all involved. Although the film made over $243 million on a $130 million budget, the production budget doesn't include the marketing, which cost roughly $100 million. This meant the film's total budget stood somewhere around $230 million, and not to mention the empire that was supposed to be built around it. To add insult to injury, the film received 6 Golden Raspberry Award nominations, with Jaden winning Worst Actor, Will winning Worst Supporting Actor, and together winning Worst Screen Combo. Will abandoned his multi-billion-dollar franchise plan and admitted that this destroyed his relationship with Jaden. After Earth was an abysmal box office and critical failure, Will wrote in his memoir, and what was worse was that Jaden took the hit. Fans and the press were absolutely vicious. They said and printed things about Jaden that I refused to repeat. Jaden had faithfully done everything that I'd instructed him to do, and I'd coached him into the worst public mauling he'd ever experienced.
Hey man, it only take a real father to say some shit like that, first of all. But he did take some heat. And that's fucked up. But I mean, that's the thing about, you know, these critics and shit. They don't care about your age or nothing. But then again, they say, you know, you got that spot because of your pops, which is true. And it's kind of like, you know, they're trying to say he dropped them all, but still, it was a terrible movie. And then try to build something around it. It's like, nobody's wasting money like that.
We never discussed it, but I knew he felt betrayed, he felt misled, and he lost his trust in my leadership. And Will wasn't lying about the public humiliation. Jaden was eviscerated. South Park made fun of him.
Jaden Smith lets his parents do whatever they want. You know what? The guys at work, they took a bet on who would win in a fight, you or Jaden Smith, and they all said Jaden Smith could kick your ass.
Key and Peele also made fun of him.
I mean, it's hard being Will Smith's son. I just want to make sure my next project reflects that I'm a down-to-earth, normal kid. Am I making any sense?
Not to mention the endless articles and tweets that were being thrown at him every day. All of Jaden's success at this point was because of Will, Pursuit of Happiness, The Karate Kid, even Just Water, which was started with Will's money. Jaden blindly followed his dad because what child wouldn't trust their dad? Plus, it was working. There was an immense pressure to fulfill his dad's vision to become a billion-dollar franchise, and he performed to the best of his capabilities, only for it all to come crashing down and have the world blame Jaden and not Will. Jaden was ruined, angry, and asked his parents if he could be emancipated. Emancipation is a legal process that frees a child who is between the ages of 14 to 17 from the custody and control of their parent or guardian. His parents were heartbroken, but they understood why. They realized it was because of their mistakes that their son didn't feel normal. He ultimately decided to not be emancipated, but he started to pursue a life and career on his own terms. However, this would make people hate him even more. How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? If newborn babies could speak, they would be the most intelligent beings on planet Earth. I should just stop tweeting. The human consciousness must raise before I speak my juvenile philosophy. Jaden feeling like he is this profound philosopher that the world can't understand obviously comes off as extremely pretentious. But he was 14 years old at this point and was finally coming up with his own thoughts, ideas, creations, instead of his parents shaping them
crazy. I
for
was on
him.
mute the
In an
whole time.
interview with
Hold on.
GQ,
Like I said, at this point, when this nigga was tweeting stuff like this, it was just like, it was kind of madness. You know what I'm saying? It was certain things that, you know, you could agree on, but it's just like, it's that, I don't know what that is, kind of like that Kanye energy, that kind of narcissistic kind of energy. I mean, because, you know, he was rocking with Jaden. Then he pulled this. So that man went left right here.
pretentious. But he was 14 years old at this point and was finally coming up with his own thoughts, ideas, creations, instead of his parents shaping them for him. In an interview with GQ, he said, "Me and Willow are scientists, so everything for us is a scientific test upon humanity." He even compared himself to the scientific pioneer Galileo. At least now the criticism and bullying Jaden was receiving was because of his own thoughts and ideas and not his father's. He embraced the memes in this video. Jaden Smith reads mind-blowing facts about the universe.
The human brain takes in 11 million bits of information every second, but is aware only of 40. In an average lifetime, human skin completely replaces itself 900 times. You see your nose all the time. Your brain just chooses to ignore.
He did become somewhat of a fashion trendsetter. Jaden is known for his androgynous fashion style. He frequently wears clothing that blurs the lines between traditional men's and women's fashion, incorporating elements like skirts, dresses, oversized clothing, and bold patterns. In 5 years, when a kid goes to school wearing a skirt, he won't get beat up, and kids won't get mad at him. He even wore outfits like a white Batman suit to prom, the Met Gala, and Kim and Kanye's wedding. But this continued to get him bullied by haters. His tweet stating that Tyler the Creator was his boyfriend just added more fuel to the fire. Their alleged relationship was never confirmed nor denied, but his ambiguity inspired many people around the world. Every new venture seemed to give his haters more material to use against him, but that changed with his album Sire, which even his biggest opposers admit was pretty good. While the lyrics still feel like his signature "I'm 14 and this is deep" style, the production is a 10 out of 10. No exaggeration, this is one of the best produced melodic hip-hop albums of the 2010s. The most prominent single on the project was Icon, which despite not charting on the Billboard Hot 100, it did go 2 times platinum in the United States, while the music video accumulated over 184 million views on YouTube. And this track is nothing short of a banger. Many people criticize him for calling himself an icon.
I think what it means to be an icon is being able to take extreme amounts of hate. The only reason that they receive that hate is because they do things that other people don't do.
Following Sire, Jaden released Eerie's in 2019, an album that delved into darker themes and explored a more experimental sound. Nobody wants to feel bad for a kid that was born in the 0.001% of society. He has attempted to use his own status as Will Smith's son as a disadvantage. If I were white and not Will Smith's silly son, I would be the most respected philosopher of our and all time. I always knew no one was going to understand me. I felt about life differently than other kids. I could tell by the way they treated me. It is hard to live in the shadow of someone else. Jaden's biggest failures are by trusting his dad's vision. Some of Jaden's worst takes are from the perspective of a teenager trying to develop his own uniqueness. He just did it in front of the whole world. As he got older, he extended his privilege onto others. His long list of charitable endeavors includes Misfits Rep, the sustainable and eco-friendly fashion brand which promotes ethical manufacturing processes and the use of sustainable materials. The Water Box, a filtration system that helps provide clean water nationwide. He also opened a mobile restaurant where homeless people can eat for free. I Love You, launched in 2019, started as a vegan food truck where Jaden aimed to provide free, healthy, sustainable meals to the homeless community in Los Angeles' Skid Row area. He may have been a cringe nepo baby, but it seems like he at least uses it to do some good in the world. Plus, nothing Jaden has ever said or done will be more embarrassing than the public humiliation Will Smith has been subject to over the past few years. Cartoons are not for children. Okay, for like 40 years,
That is crazy. never endure like his father has. Because that shit is crazy. Is it?
I personally think the game was fixed.
I just found it was very unusual to change the game plan.
When I'll get in a manic episode, I start to wonder and be aimless.
And that was one of the things the officials thought they saw something they didn't see.
The Super Bowl is the pinnacle of American sport. Over the course of a few hours,
After the intro, hold on. No, still on me. Oh, not on me. Okay, so after the intro, I'm going straight to my team. Don't care about the rest of these Super Bowls. I'm trying to see what the hell they trying to, trying to see what they trying to say.
legacies are defined for players, teams, and at one point, even the NFL itself. But behind every team that's ever lost, there's sure to be a fan saying, that game was rigged. Most of the time, evidence is severely lacking in these scenarios, and no notable people involved ever come forth. But there are a select few conspiracies revolving around the nation's entertainment behemoth that do have some serious backers. Why do these people think these games were rigged? How could they have been fixed? Should we even believe in these conspiracies, or are they nothing more than a little controversy that adds to the lore of the league? This is the history behind those games and the accusations that come with them. Before we arrive at our first allegation of collusion, it's vital that for our next major rigging accusation, we only have to move forward 3 years. This time, every football fan's usual suspects have come into play: the referees.
Back inside, he's inside the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown Seahawks!
In 2005, the Seahawks lit up the NFL with the best offense in the league. At the head of this attack was MVP running back Shaun Alexander, who tied the single-season rushing touchdown record with 27 TDs. He couldn't have done that without a stacked offensive line containing 2 Hall of Famers. In tandem was Pro Bowl quarterback Matt Hasselbeck, who was having a career year of his own. The defense held opponents to just under 17 points per game, thanks in part to the play of rookie linebacker Lofa Tutupu. Seattle finished with the best record in the conference, going 13-3. Then they marched right through the NFC in the playoffs, capping it off with a 34-14 win over the Panthers to advance to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, in the AFC, the defending champion Patriots were having a down year by their standards. The Colts and Broncos were looking like the teams to beat, and the Super Bowl participant out of the AFC did just that. The wild card Steelers had talent all over the place. Troy Polamalu was hitting its stride with the first-team All-Pro selection of his Hall of Fame career. Joey Porter was in his prime and led a great linebacker unit. On offense, you had second-year quarterback Ben Roethlisberger coming off a Rookie of the Year campaign. He's playing behind a great offensive line, along with an emerging Willie Parker and veteran Jerome Bettis at running back. And finally, Hines Ward was one of the most feared receivers in the league. So you have a former expansion team making their first Super Bowl against one of the most decorated teams in the NFL. And as luck would have it, this game would be taking place in Detroit, just a 4.5-hour drive from Pittsburgh. That would be the theme for the week leading up to the big game. Detroit turned black and yellow, and it wasn't even entirely from traveling fans either. The city had adopted its own story for the game.
I didn't know Santa Claus was a Steelers fan.
Absolutely. Ho, ho, ho. Here we go. One for the thumb, baby.
With retirement looming and the game taking place in his hometown, Jerome Bettis became the headliner for this Super Bowl. He was getting featured in Time magazine and starring in Campbell's soup commercials. It felt like the Steelers had temporarily become Detroit's team. Bettis was being called the city's savior. He had promised to build up housing and a large entertainment complex in the city once his career was over. Anyone connected to him was getting interviewed. That includes even the vice principal at his old high school. On the Wednesday before the game, the Detroit mayor gave him the ceremonial key to the city and declared the week Jerome Bettis Week. Some people started calling the city Bettisburg. This was just about the closest thing the city had to a Lions Super Bowl, and with poverty and crime rates climbing quickly, they were hopping aboard the much-needed positivity bus. It's really no wonder why the city's leaders were pumping the Steelers. It was an incredible distraction from the real problems in Detroit. But even on the outside, the national media was all in on Bettis Week. The Steelers, having 4 championships at this point and being one of the NFL's most successful teams ever, dwarfed the Seahawks in fan base size and team recognition. Seattle was more or less getting disrespected by the country's near exclusive focus on the Steelers. Football Outsiders founder and ESPN analyst Aaron Schatz said, "You don't want to think about conspiracies, but it just seemed like for 2 weeks, the league, ABC/ESPN, the city of Detroit, and the NFL wanted the Seahawks to just go away so the Steelers could have the title." By the way, come game time, Hasselbeck estimated that the stadium was 90% Steelers fans. And even though the Seahawks were the number 1 seed and the Steelers were a wildcard team, Vegas still had the Steelers as favorites to win. A bit odd, but like I said previously, the Steelers did have the talent to at least defend that line. For this video, we're going to focus on 4 plays that caused the Seahawks players, coaches, fans, and even many neutral observers to question the intention of the officials. We begin in the first quarter. The Seahawks scored the first touchdown of the game, but it was called back for offensive pass interference. The push-off was very ticky-tacky, even if it technically follows the rulebook. John Madden was calling this game and said, "When you think of push-offs, that's not the kind you think about." This call really set the stage for the whole game. And to make matters worse, Julian Edelman's game-winning touchdown against the Seahawks in Super Bowl 49 had a very similar feel, and that one was not called for OPI.
That's years later.
Our next play is the Roethlisberger goal line dive. This one was a 50-50 call. All the ball has to do is break the plane of the goal line. It really just depends on the angle you're looking at. That's how close it was. But it really hurt the Seahawks losing a border.
I'm allowed to be biased on that, but still.
Roethlisberger goal line dive. This one was a 50-50 call. All the ball has to do is break the plane of the goal line. It really just depends on the angle you're looking at. That's how close it was. But it really hurt the Seahawks losing a borderline touchdown on one end and then giving up a borderline score on the other end. Maybe the weirdest thing was the side judge hesitating to call a touchdown at first. Fourth quarter now with the Seahawks down just 4. And this call is one of the few in NFL history that was so bad that the referee apologized for it years later. On the broadcast, Madden straight up said, "I didn't see holding." It also sent the Seahawks back from what would have been the 1-yard line. So another potential go-ahead touchdown was ripped away from Seattle. 3 plays after the holding call, Hasselbeck threw an interception and got called for a block below the waist. Only problem was, he was tackling the ball carrier. This call may not have had the immediate consequences of the other plays on this list, but it rates as maybe the most egregious. Madden's reaction was the officials saw something they didn't see. The Steelers got an extra 15 yards and put the game away with a final score. So the game ended 21-10. But with 2 potential Seahawks touchdowns and 1 Steelers touchdown all going in favor of Pittsburgh, that's what made Boston reporter Tom Curran say, "The game reeked of orchestration by the officials and made you feel dirty by the time you turned it off." Seahawks head coach Mike Holmgren said, "We knew it was going to be tough going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't know we were going to have to play the guys in the striped shirts as well." Now, even with so many calls going against them, the Seahawks still wasted enough opportunities themselves where they arguably weren't deserving of the win in the first place.
Yeah, the boys needed to play ball. And boy, you know, the boys slipped up on a couple of chances. Go ahead and say that. But nah, I mean, is it rigged? I don't.
Hall of Fame left tackle Walter Jones might have summed it up perfectly, saying probably 75% we lost that game, and the rest we got robbed. Some would argue this was in the era of Tim Donaghy, the disgraced NBA referee caught gambling on games, which made anything possible for the NFL. And more gasoline was poured on the fire when it was discovered that the NFL's supervisor of officiating, Mike Pereira, had disappeared shortly after the game. With the backlash of officiating hitting the NFL immediately after Super Bowl 40, the league quickly sought their so-called counsel for this case. And that man would be Mike Pereira. Only problem was, they couldn't get in contact with him. NFL Senior Vice President of Communications Greg Aiello sent multiple emails to Pereira saying, "Where the hell are you?" Turns out, he was already on a plane to Costa Rica. Pereira insists that the vacation was scheduled ahead of time, and he's since come out and defended the referees. Now, he does admit that there were some controversial calls, but he didn't really see anything out of the ordinary. And he certainly doesn't buy into any theory where the NFL wants the more popular team or the better story to win. His little trip out the country did create a rule change, however, with high-ranking NFL employees no longer allowed to schedule vacations for the day after the Super Bowl. But like I mentioned before, NFL ref Bill Levy apologized years later for the holding and block below the waist calls. He said he will go to his grave wishing that he did better. If Levy were to be conspiring against the Seahawks, it's unlikely that he'd be saying sorry.
Bullshit. You heard it?
Sorry for the misspeaks calls. He said he will go to his grave wishing that he did better. If Levy were to be conspiring against the Seahawks, it's unlikely that he'd be saying sorry for the missed calls years later. Speaking of years later, the Seahawks took out Peyton Manning's Broncos in Super Bowl 48. The game felt like it was over before it even began, and Manning winning certainly would have been the better story. But of course, controversy would strike back in Manning's next Super Bowl when the wife of the game's replay assistant attended the game as a Broncos fan. More fuel to the fire, or just terrible oversight on behalf of the NFL? That's what's fun or extremely disturbing about these mysteries. Weird stuff happens in the most crucial moments. And in the end, sometimes the very people involved will scream bloody murder. What do you think? Were any of these Super Bowls actually fixed? Or is it nothing more than a great YouTube video? Which reminds me, this video took many, many hours to make.
That's crazy. But it makes sense. I'm not going to argue with it. The most evil man in power. Don King. Facts. Snoop Dogg highlights. Oh.
Jello Beats.
Look, I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new whip. Same old attitude, but I'm on that new shit. They say they gon' ride.
After the video with the sticker went insanely.
A so-called rival can't beat them.
Snoop was doing his thing. Okay.
That's a live ball.
What would you do to gain 7 inches of height? Well, this young man underwent limb lengthening surgery where the bones of his lower leg are broken and then they are separated using an external fixator. That fixator, you have a screw that you turn 1 millimeter a day and it separates that bone by 1 millimeter a day. And the idea is that new bone will grow in that millimeter gap. Now, as you can see, he has to do a lot of physical therapy to heal from this. There are major risks of complications such as osteomyelitis, which is an infection of the bone, and this is not something I recommend. Would you do this to gain 7 inches of height?
Nope. Nope. I'm good. I like my height.
Where do you get off stating that one of my teammates is a homosexual? Where are your facts?
And Skip Bayless. Now my memory is kind
of... Hold on. What? Let's go with Skip, man.
Kind of hazy to even remember the show, but after a little bit of research, it appears this was a show with Pam and Dion called Call It Like It Is, and this particular episode, they would have Skip Bayless on their show. Now, for those of you who don't know, Skip is one of the most recognizable faces in the sports debate industry and has a long career in sports journalism that dates all the way back to the 70s. During that time, one of the teams he covered were his beloved Dallas Cowboys during the 1990s Dynasty era, where they won 3 Super Bowl titles. Skip released 3 books covering the team in 1990, 93, and 96. And I think this is one of the reasons why Troy detests Skip, even when they worked at the same network. Things were so contentious that Aikman even tried to block FS1's hiring of Skip Bayless back in 2016 when he left ESPN. Anyways, the main issue the Cowboys QB had, this is one of the reasons why Troy detests Skip, even when they worked at the same network. Things were so contentious that Aikman even tried to block FS1's hiring of Skip Bayless back in 2016 when he left ESPN. Anyways, the main issue the Cowboys QB had with Skip Bayless was what he wrote about him in his book. And if I'm going to be honest, I think Skip clearly crossed the line here. Yeah, I know times were different back then, but this was still pretty out of bounds, even for me. So Skip, in his book titled Hellbent, talked about the feud between Troy Aikman and his head coach Barry Switzer, and then even hinted at the fact that the Dallas quarterback perhaps might be gay, which has been refuted. Anyways, this was the interview between Skip Bayless, Deion Sanders, and Pam Oliver that has been...
I don't Troy is a homosexual. Where do you get off stating that one of my teammates is a homosexual? Where are your facts? Do you know how detrimental that is to a guy
I
such
don't
as Troy?
state that at all. This book is about a very troubled, paranoia-plagued relationship, or lack thereof, between your quarterback, Troy Aikman, and Barry Switzer that disintegrated over a 2-year period to where they didn't even speak the last couple of months of last season. And one side, the Switzer side, as I call them, the Switzer camp, you know John Blake, a buddy of yours, obviously very well, Danny Bradley, Dean Blevins, who supported Switzer within the organization, believed that Troy wanted them gone. And I believe that Troy wanted them gone. He's not a Switzer fan. I talked at length to Troy.
Now, wait a second. About the homosexual part.
When it got so dark, as you recall, in early December, the final grenade lobbed from camp to camp was that, you know, the old rumor, it's 5 years old here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm sure a lot of people had heard it before, that Troy is gay. Now, I've talked to Troy about it. You know,
I have never heard that. This is a man. I'm not gay, but Troy is a good-looking guy.
He is a good-looking guy. I agree.
And I'm
Now,
sure,
I talked to Troy.
I'm sure he can get any woman he wants.
He says he is absolutely not gay.
Do you know what
yes,
an
I know
accusation like
exactly
that
what it is.
will do to a guy like Troy Aikman, whose endorsement potential is unbelievable?
Troy says that he's gotten a lot of mail about this over the last 4 or 5 years.
I'm sure.
And he took the opportunity in this book to just completely shoot a hole in it. We're talking about 5 pages out of 300. And when you get to it, you'll just shake your head, and it'll be a pretty ho-hum part of this feud that's going on between them. You will put no credibility in it, no credence.
Skip.
And Troy took the opportunity to put it to bed.
Journalism 101. Journalism 101.
Right.
You do not print rumors. A rumor is just that. It's a
We're getting completely off the subject of the book.
You know,
I mean, this is such a tiny part.
What about this, Skip? How Troy, Barry, Jerry, and Dion, and Emmett, and Michael won it all in spite of themselves?
Well,
what kind of statement is that?
You tell me what you think of this quote from Troy Aikman. He told me on February 15th, 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, that from what he knows about what went on inside your team, what you accomplished as a team was the greatest achievement in sports history. Now, you are a two touchdown favorite in the Super Bowl. Would you agree with that statement?
That's a hell of a way to clean that up, Skip. But I'm not buying it.
No, seriously, that's a pretty strong statement.
When you write a book like this, Skip, excuse me, when you write a book like that, are you looking for controversy to sell your book? Are you writing facts or beliefs of yourself?
That's a great story. That's a significant story to tell. If what he overcame, let's just say it was just Troy's overcoming some of the things that were inflicted upon him by Barry Switzer and company. And they're all detailed. I talked to everybody at length for the book, and I back everything up with the quotes. Again, the gay thing is such a small part.
You'll say, yes, it is. Unless it's yourself.
But you haven't read the book. And if you did, you'd say it was a small part.
I can't say that.
I read the book. Okay, and I found a lot of it just to be regurgitated old cowboy stories. We've heard them all.
No, I think you haven't heard any of these stories.
Yeah, I think we have. We've heard about Kevin Williams. We've heard about all of these things. We've heard about the Troy Barry friction. We've
But
heard
nobody
a lot
reported
of
the backdrop of the story. It's a character study between two very strong men who some.
This is nuts, but this is Skip, man. This is Skip, and he keep getting jobs. He keep getting jobs. That's the nutty part to me, bro. Like that shit crazy. He just be talking about athletes any kind of way he want to, man. That shit. At some point, man, sportscasters like this got to stop, or news analysts. I don't care what you call them, but people like him gotta stop, bro. Or you gotta be an end to him. I don't mean in no violent way. That sounded crazy.
Sometimes under the incredible pressure that we inflict here as a group on the coach and quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, occasionally they became these sort of irrational, paranoia-plagued combatants during the year. And again, I interviewed both of them at length, and it's backed up with the quotes in the book. And if you read it, you won't think it's so bad. You'll think it's just two human beings under the incredible, as you've experienced, heat of battle.
I don't know about that, Skip. I'll tell you what. Yeah. When you go over there to the Cowboys now, when you visit, do you feel friction because of your book? Because I know it's a lot of my teammates really don't like you at this time.
But I can't. That's my job. I mean,
is that Jason Garrett? Jason Garrett on that.
That's what I do for a living, and I told a very significant story that I think 20 years from now, people will look back on it, and it'll be on somebody's bookshelf. And it was again, if this was the greatest achievement ever, I make Troy Aikman out to be a hero on this book. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I wrote a book in 92, 93 on Jimmy versus Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and everybody said, "Where are you exaggerated all that?" And then 5 months later, what happened? Jerry fired Jimmy, and everybody said, "That's impossible. That could not have happened." And it was all in my book. That's what I do for a living. I'm a reporter, and I'll stand on 25 years of reputation. And I don't think we've heard the end of this yet.
We haven't, because you know what I found about this book after reading this book? There seems to be a lot of personal stuff in this book.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different.
Because he's personal. He get personal, just like the boy Shannon. The boy Shannon Sharp said that shit. He get personal, get real personal. He's weird.
Things between you and Troy and you and Barry. You almost pitted everyone else against everyone else, unbeknownst to them.
Well, now you tell me, did they speak the last 2 months of the season?
Yes, they did.
No, they did not. Absolutely.
I'm there.
Well, so am I.
I'm at practice. I'm on the field. How can you tell me they didn't speak the last 2 weeks?
I quote Troy in the book is saying that they didn't speak. It was from, I'll tell you what, it was the December, Monday after the second Washington loss, whatever that was, the 5th of December. From that point until about at least a month after the Super Bowl, I promise you they didn't speak a word.
All right.
I don't know about that.
We gotta wrap this up.
That isn't true. Why? We don't have to go.
I wish we had more time for Skip.
Without this.
To be
because I would
continued.
never agree with you with this. But I want to just thank you for having the guts to come on here and knowing what the substance is.
So yeah, after watching this clip, you could kind of understand why Skip.
Ain't nobody trying to that. Anyway, that's crazy, bro. But that's Skip for you, boy. But I'll say I'm always. I never seen it.
We'll give Michael B a B for his attempt to be OBJ. He and Eli Manning connected in a recreation of Beckham's famous catch, showing that the Creed star might be athletic, but when it comes to sports, he's not quite Michael Jordan. We'll give Michael B a...
These cookies got so popular that the Halloween Pillsbury sugar cookies are sold out in every single store.
1 year wonders. Nope.
This is a huge muskie we just caught here on Lake St. Clair. This fish is sitting right now in a revival tank. We're flowing off. You can see the pump right here. It's coming through his mouth, through his nose. You can see him breathing right now. If you look at the color of his fins, they're a bit red. The red fins on the muskie means he's stressed. So we want to keep him in for 10-15 minutes, get his fins back to a lighter color, make sure that he's not stressed, get him back to the way he was before we caught him, and then we're going to let him go. So an amazing fish. He's a top predator in the lake, and we want to make sure he's nice and ready before we let him go. This is a huge muskie we just caught here on Lake St. Clair. This fish is sitting right now in a revival tank. We're flowing off. You can see the pump right here. It's coming through his mouth, through his nose. You can see him breathing right now. If you look at the color of his fins, they're a bit red. The red fins on the muskie means he's stressed. So we want to keep him in here for about 10-15 minutes, get his fins back to a lighter color, make sure that he's not stressed, get him back to the way he was before we caught him, and then we're going to let him go. So an amazing...
So back around 2 months ago, this story came out and broke the internet about an influencer from yesteryear named Little Tay. After this ominous message was posted to her Instagram page, which is followed by millions of people, this suggested that both her and her older brother had passed away. For those of you guys who don't remember, back in around 2016 to 2018, Little Tay first went viral online for being the world's biggest flexer. She was calling people broke, showing off cars, showing off hotel rooms.
It's Lil Tay. Let me tell y'all something. This costs more to your rent. My toilet costs more to your rent. Everything in my bathroom costs more to your rent. And see, this is my closet. Everything here would be designer. Gucci, Louis, Versace.
And I would say anyone with common sense.
She was always a little shit. Okay. Because, I mean, I never really watched the content before. So, like, I thought, her calling people broke was just a thing. But just that damn video. But, damn. She always been calling people broke. Even since she was legit. That's crazy, bro.
Sense, kind of understood from the start that this girl was likely being coached into these behaviors. And when that eventually did come out as the truth, whether people said it was her brother, her father, or her mother who was behind this whole Little Tay persona.
Irrelevant, like I said last time. What do I say? I'm a trend maker, and you're a trend follower. You a little.
That's when the general public kind of saw it behind the smoke and mirrors. And after 2018, people pretty much didn't hear from Little Tay again. And for the past 5 years, it had kind of been radio silence until this whole death fiasco, which turned out to really just be another ploy to get attention. And now we might finally be getting an answer as to why this whole death arc even occurred. And it seems like it was all for yet another single drop of clout. As yesterday, the now 16-year-old would come out with a music video for her new song. And I guess this is the direction that she's going to be trying to take her career at this point. She's still kind of leaning on this whole flexing arc. And as you guys can imagine, this video led to a lot of weirdos saying a lot of inappropriate things. And I mean, hey, if there's one thing her and her family do know how to do, it's garner attention, as this video has received over 1.3 million.
So you faked your death for this?
Views in only 20 hours. It's now hit #1 overall on trending for YouTube, and it looks like the Little Tay quest for clout is successful. She then started posting videos onto her Instagram page like this, kind of reminiscent of the past.
It's been 5 years and y'all still broke. The GO is back. 5 years and I'm still the youngest one out. 5 years and y'all are still broke. So don't take it out on me. Why the f are y'all coming at me for? Y'all hating ass for hate on me when I was 9 years old, talking all this. You don't know me, so stop talking. You did not come up. You had 5 years to come up and you didn't. So don't blame me. 5 years.
All right, so now the hate kind of makes sense. Because at first I was like, why people hating on a Jit? Like, oh, yeah, Jit, you annoying as fuck. All right, I get it. All right.
I mean, I won't lie, she kind of made me feel like shit about myself. I mean, low-key, Lil Tay, we could go band for band right now. And in this return, she also showed off her skills with several different musical instruments like the piano. She shows off some insane skills on the guitar. You gotta love Metallica. I won't lie, I don't hate the comeback when it's like this.
A little bit talented. Can't get mad at that.
So that was all pretty badass, to be honest. But you guys know that when it comes to Little Tay, there always has to be a little suspicion creeping into the background. And she went on Instagram Live yesterday to the tune of around 75,000 people to essentially call her own father out for being an absolute scumbag, along with the help of his girlfriend, who she says was his secretary at one time.
5 years ago, I became famous. He started a court case to silence me so I could not speak on what was happening and so he could take control over my money. His name is Chris Hope. This is him. This is Chris Hope. All right, let's just get into it. Buckle up, because I cannot even tell you the full story. I have to give you a summary of it.
And can we just acknowledge politician-looking ass dad? And she's about to levy some pretty serious accusations against her own father.
He was bringing random ass women around all the time and literally hooking up with them in front of me. I was a child. And one of those women was named Shima Ali, his assistant. This is her. These are not private photos. This is her Facebook.
Crazy photos, guys.
He was hooking up with random women all the time, and he found them off of Craigslist. This is his Craigslist email to a random woman who had an ad. Okay, this is his email trying to hook up with people. This is my mom talking to somebody about it.
A Craigslist hookup is nasty.
Hey man, I've heard it all. I've heard it all. This is crazy. This is crazy. Yo, what do you mean, man? Off Craigslist, bro? Most people look for a job, a used couch, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? A whole woman off Craigslist. That's crazy.
Work. I mean, at this point, you might get an STD just from going on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it just sound dirty? Craigslist. Man seeks woman, woman seeks man, woman seeks horse.
So, Honey Hope, she is Christopher John Hope's wife currently. And he met her online when she was living in the Philippines.
And she is a career scammer. When she was living in the Philippines, she was scamming as a career, which I will get into later. Oh, this is her. That's her right there. That's her and Chris.
So obviously, Little Tay got the receipts. I mean, I don't know if we should 100% believe what she's saying, given her sketchy past and the ways that this family has forced her to lie, but it ain't looking good for old Peepaw.
She was a career scammer. So she met Chris Hope online, like usual, because all he wants to do is hook up with women online. But they started having a bond, and he wanted to fly her to Canada, which is exactly what happened. And she left the father of her son to be with Chris because she thought that he would provide her with a luxurious good life and bring her to Canada and all that. When I was living with them, like I said, they were still doing the most out-of-pocket shit in front of me. She would get out of the shower and she wouldn't even put clothes on. And they were always playing these inappropriate movies in front of me, openly in front of me. So that was the norms. Those were the norms in this household. She would always take out her anger onto me. And like I said, if her son acted out of line, she would use me as a scapegoat and take it out on me. And in fact, physical me was so common in this household that her son caught onto it, and he was doing it to me too, and they would just egg him on. They were feeding me the most disgusting ass food. What is this? This is what they were packing me for lunch. My mom had discovered that they were packing me this bullshit for lunch. Rotten, frozen, parasitic, moldy. Look at this. These are my mom's text messages to him, sending him these photos. I'm like, why are you sending this to your child for school? She found out that I was being given rotten food at his place. So she started dropping me off fresh lunches at school. And then what does he say? He says, if she continues doing that, he will continue to deduct child support.
But my main question right now is why bring this information to the internet before presenting it, in the court of law? Like, I understand you want to get the story out there, but with this many receipts, I would think you would have a pretty good court case to at least get this guy locked up for a little bit, have him face some sort of charge.
They did not dress me properly. These are shoes I was wearing. The soles are broken. This is another. These aren't even the same pair of shoes. Look, both of these soles are broken. These are the clothing they were providing for me. Meanwhile, he was so preoccupied, while I was wearing broken ass shoes, he was so preoccupied with providing Honey Hope, his wife, with these designer bags. This is not even everything. This is not accounting for shoes, clothing, makeup, luxury vacations. He was literally fulfilling all of her fantasies while I was wearing those broken ass shoes. This is her TikTok. She's openly bragging about her designer collection of bags. Meanwhile, what's the guy wearing at their house?
And it's just interesting because on one hand, she's posing in all these cars, she's flexing all these different designer stuff, but then she's saying at home she's wearing the shoes of an 1800s villager.
How much money does he owe me? He owes me $250,000 in child support. He still owes it, by the way. He still hasn't paid it. He's legally obligated to pay it. He hasn't paid it.
Well, hey, why are you still going around calling other people broke? I'm just saying.
That's insane. And meanwhile, look at what they're doing. They're going on vacation. They're going on shopping sprees, and they're neglecting all of my needs. And worse, they're not just neglecting me. They were the f out of me every single day that I was in their home.
I mean, yeah, it makes it sound like she had a very traumatic childhood. She's obviously a smart person. She's very articulate. We've seen her on the instruments. To me, it's just very sad that it seems like at every turn, she's been exploited by pretty much everyone in her life. Because let's also remember that it didn't exactly seem like both her brother and her mom were saints either. But the father does seem to be the ultimate scumbag.
I cannot possibly tell you every single incident that happened. I am summarizing what my childhood was like. Do you know one of the reasons that he said to the court that he should have custody of me after I became famous? He said it was because my mom was letting me associate with Black and Hispanic people in the entertainment industry. And he said that they were going to get me into drugs, or they were going to steal my money, or they're going to exploit me. He hates Black and Hispanic people. That was one of his arguments of why I shouldn't be in the entertainment industry. In reality, we all know that was a lie anyway, because he wanted me to be there so he could take my money. He just wanted control over my career. That's why he started this court case.
Hey, bro, felt defended too. Hey, CC. Hey. There's no need for hate anymore, bro. Come on, man. Stop the hate, God.
There was a lot of that happened when I was famous. And a lot of that involved media and the press slandering the out of my family. Okay, this is where I get into the death hoax. So, as you all know, Chris Hope was the one that did the death hoax. He was trying to sabotage me. Meanwhile, he was working with this other con artist that was claiming to be my manager, and they had a crypto coin together. Their plan was to fake my death and then promote the crypto coin, which, by the way, the manager admitted to. He said he'd been working on the crypto coin for months. These people are frauds. This proves how much the press did not give a about facts. They cared about slandering my name. They did not do any fact checking. As long as you claim to be my manager, they would just take your word for it. As long as anyone claimed that my mom got fired from her job just for controversy purposes, they would just report on it, even though it's not true.
I mean, I don't know if I'm exactly buying that, guys, because the timing of the whole thing just seems a little bit too convenient for me. I'm not saying all this other stuff about her dad is not true, but that music video that she was just in, it takes time to plan that sort of thing, okay? She's surrounded by cars, they're doing a choreography dance. The timing is just a little bit too good for me to believe that this whole death hoax that obviously incited a whole lot of impressions and clout towards her page does not have something to do with this song also dropping.
I hope you realize how much bullshit has been surrounding my name from the moment I became famous till now. And I hope this clears it up for you.
I mean, she could say all these different BS and rumors surround her name, but a lot of it has to do with stuff that she and her family have said and things that she has posted on her Instagram page against her brother, against her dad, against her mom at times. And I'm not saying it was her who was posting it, but it's hard to know, like, what is real. Well, to me, this is all a very interesting situation. I am glad that both, I guess, her and her brother are all right. But she's shown in the past when she was much younger that she could play this manipulative character very well. Like I said, she does seem fairly intelligent, so it is hard to know what is real in this world of like little taste deception. But y'all let me know what you guys think down below. Was it all for promo, or is she actually spitting facts about her father? I just think there's probably a lot more.
I feel like this shit is nuts. That's what I feel like. How do you fake a death and then put out some I don't know, that's the only really crazy like that, bro. Shouldn't have did that. Like, bro, like, people don't know faking death is not cool. Okay. I'm gonna watch this later. I gotta learn how to make that shit, bro. Shit's on fire. I said, but it's on fire.
This guy really didn't think this through. Off. This guy really didn't think this through.
Man, what the f is wrong with the and I keep the glaquete.
3, 2.
What's up, Jack?
What's up, Jack? Hey, that's the most ridiculous shirt I've ever seen.
You having a good day today?
It's a cat on the Empire State.
Powerball at 1 billion? That's crazy. God damn.
All right, Kobe, let's hear it, Kobe.
Man, I should have never trusted her. Man, I should have never trusted her. Girl, I'm finna break down, and I'm face down in a whole pound. Girl, I'm going now.
Hold on, gang. Speed, where are you going?
Chris Paul's been in this league.
All right, Kobe, let's hear it, Kobe.
Man, I should have never trusted her. Man, I should have never trusted her. Girl, I'm finna break down, and I'm face down in a whole pound. Girl, I'm going now.
Hold on, gang. Speed, where are you going? Oh, you gotta pee. I wanna make sure he's here for it. All right, my fault, gang.
But his speed is laughing.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Man, I should have never trusted her. Girl, I'm finna break down in a whole pound. Girl, I'm gone now. I'm a loner. I'm a stoner. I'ma need a donor, cause I'm never sober. Cause my is colder.
All right.
Chris Paul's been in this league.
Hello, Navarro. Suck any good lately. What's wrong, Navarro? I think you like a big.
Oh, that's
remember when this?
Bro, you did not pull up and you like that. How the hell of a catch? I didn't even pull up the save like that. Oh my god, what is this? Oh. Go ahead and make it. What do you make?
Okay, guys, I'm actually rimming this with a little bit of this luster dust, this sparkly stuff. See there? Look at that. Look at that.
You be killing me with all that sparkling stuff. Sure. Now we'll do the damn cinnamon challenge. All that shit.
Today we're checking out 20 viral basketball hacks.
You put so much in it. And that's the thing. I don't understand. Like, what's up with like just putting stuff on the outside of the cup? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? I don't like that. Oh, that boy just. I would try that. I like spicy stuff. Okay, let me see. Let me see.
Except for these pickled sausages, which I have never tried. She adds in a lot of hot sauce, and I couldn't tell which one she was using, so I'm just going to go with the original Louisiana. About 3 to 4 tablespoons. Crushed red peppers, chopped pickle spear along with some of the juice, about 20 sliced pickled jalapenos with some juice, 2 pepperoncini with, you guessed it, it's pickling juice, smoked paprika, Old Bay, and this was the only other thing I had to buy, blackened seasoning, 2 hard-boiled eggs, which aren't quite fully hard-boiled. Sorry, I'm typically used to soft-boiled eggs. A little shake, and I left it for a few hours in the fridge. My mouth actually watered when I opened it. The egg didn't absorb as much of the saltiness that I expected, but the sausages were overly salty. Overall, everything had great spicy tang, and it'll be a great supplement to my meals over the next week. Today, I'm trying Cardi B's spicy bowl. Her video has been living rent-free in my head.
I would try that shit. I would try that shit. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all chilling with me. Might be on tomorrow. Might be on tonight. Who knows, man? But take care, bro.